Om Shanti, Sister Jayanti.
Om Shanti, Arunaben.
Om Shanti, everyone. Welcome. So Sister Jayanti and I are in the same house, but since it's a big house, she's in another room. And today is a very special day. It's the day to appreciate and honor your guru. So it could be your spiritual guru, your academic guru. So it could be your teacher or anybody that you feel has guided you in some way. And there's a very special verse from the Sikh religion. I won't say it in the Sikh language, but I will say in English, and that is that I face both my God and Guru. Whom should I bow to first? Whom should I greet first? And then the Guru. Why the Guru first? Because the Guru is the one who showed me the way to God. And so they place the praise, the honor of the Guru much higher than God, because the Guru guided you. And so when Baba comes and says, I'm the Guru of the Gurus and I'm the Supreme Satguru, that means a lot. Because in India, actually, maybe it's not the case now so much, but they did start adopting gurus from the age of 6 or 7. And then they take continual guidance and they take the mantra and all of that. So it really is a big thing in Bharat, maybe not so much for us who haven't grown up in that culture, but it's a very special day. Maybe Sister Jayanti would like to say something on that. Otherwise, welcome Sister Jayanti and look forward to your revision.
Thank you. Om Shanti to everyone. And yes, when I think about the role of Brahma Baba and the amazing role that he has played in enabling us to connect with Shiv Baba, then you can see that Shiv Baba exists forever. And Brahma Baba began that particular role when Shiv Baba entered him, but also, of course, without Shiv Baba, without Brahma Baba, how could we have known Shiv Baba? And so, yes, very much the importance of the Guru, but also just think about the Murlis last week and today. And we're looking at how Baba's showing us how to become like the Father and not just incorporeal God. Yes, we do become that also. And Baba tells us how whatever are the qualifications of God, they are also the qualifications within the child. The child reveals the Father. And in Bhakti, they say God is omnipresent. But then to think that we actually have to reflect those qualities is not really something that they make specific effort for, or even understand that that's what they need to do. But Brahma Baba followed Shiv Baba, but also all the things he did in his life, we are now able to follow today. Baba makes everything so absolutely clear so that then we can actually follow in the Father's footsteps. And so yesterday's Murli, Baba seems to be, Shiv Baba seems to be taking us through the whole course so that then we're able to have all the qualifications of Brahma Baba in our lives also. And so two particular qualities. One quality, that of absolute obedience, following God's instructions immediately to the T. And the second, faithfulness, loyalty. And so let's see what Baba has spoken about in these two things. There might be a question that many have had, because you hear this term, number-wise according to effort, and the question, but what is it that determines the number? Effort is an all-encompassing thing, but very specifically, what is the effort that actually needs to be made? And this Murli clarifies it very, very transparently. It's not a secret. Baba explains what we need to do. And so there's love, and all the children will say they have love. But then there's also the subject of spiritual power. And spiritual power is actually firstly the power over the self, over my external faculties, my organs, my eyes, my ears, etc., etc. When I see something, do I get tempted? Do I get distracted? When I see something, does my heart say, that's what I want? So that's not being the master of my eyes. But for my eyes to see that which is useful, that which is worthwhile, that which is going to carry me forward, now I begin mastery over myself through the spiritual capacity, the power that I'm now gaining to be in charge of my physical sense organs. And so something to check. To what extent do I have that spiritual power in which I'm able to be the master of my senses? But then further, a proof of my spiritual power is that I am the master of my mind. Now, how many of us can claim to have attained mastery over our thoughts and feelings? Mostly we would say we're work in progress. We're on the journey. And what Baba's wanting us to do is to actually come to that stage where, yes, well and truly, I'm able to be the master over my thoughts and my feelings. And then the master of my intellect. What is it that I'm holding in this very precious vessel of mine? Am I holding the treasures that God has given me the right to claim? Or is it a little of this and a little of that and not quite all the treasures? And so you can see how in developing power over my mind, my intellect, and then further my sanskars, I'm determining my number in the rosary. And so Baba's saying, I'm offering everyone everything, no personal tuition. Everybody is experiencing the same sustenance from Baba?
Mikrofonum yoksa açık. Mikrofonum açık ama
Okay, I think, yeah. But also over my sanskars. To what extent am I the master of my sanskars? Can I tell my sanskars, now it's time to emerge only the divine sanskars of the deity religion? Or am I still struggling with the sanskars of Kali Yuga, or even maybe the sanskars of the Silver Age? Worrying, battling, worry, warrior, you can see the connection. So when I worry, I'm battling with myself. But to be able to go beyond all that, so this is definitely the stage of being the master of the self through taking God's power, spiritual power within my own life and using it in the appropriate manner. And so God doesn't decide our destiny. Each one of us decides our own faith and destiny. Where do I want to go within the hierarchy? And I use that word consciously, within the sacred order. Nobody dictated to me. God offered me open choice. Take whatever it is you choose. No restrictions, no barriers, no boundaries, everything available. And then up to me, where it is I go, what it is I do. And so, yes, God loves those who love him. And God also definitely cooperates with those who cooperate with him. And of course, everything multiplied million times. But yes, the ones who are actually the powerful ones are the ones who claim the full inheritance of all the powers and everything that God has, that God can give. The problem with being just loving and cooperative without being powerful is that I try to have yoga, and I have yoga because I love God, so I have yoga, but I'm not able to be consistent and absolutely connect with God in that stage in which I'm yog-yukt and I'm able to not just connect with God from time to time, but there's a connection that I've developed, which is a stable and steady connection. And so that connection is
Turkish translator.
Is constantly going to give me power from God. And if I maintain...
Sesim açık.
I think it's Turkish, maybe, that's having trouble with the translation. Okay, so to receive power, I need that yog-yuk stage of constantly being in contact and in connection. So that was very interesting for me, Baba defining how to gain power and how that determines my destiny, number-wise, each one of us. And then Baba also gave a very, very clear explanation of how Brahma Baba, of course, constantly obedient right from the very first moment when Shiv Baba gave him visions and said, you have to be the one who's going to create a better world. Baba didn't say, why me? Oh, no, I've got other things to do. I need to do something else. No. Baba just pondered very deeply. How can a better world be created? And then the answers began to come, and Baba's heart was open and ready, and he took on the challenge. And the rest, of course, you know. So the point is that from the very first moment, there was an acceptance of God's instruction. Now, here we are, busy in our own lives. God says, okay, this child can belong to me, and I'm picked out of multi-millions, and I come to God, and do I say, wonderful, my amazing fortune, Or do I say, hey, I wasn't looking for this yet. Can you wait a little while? I want to do this and this and this and this, and then I'm going to come back to you. Maybe some of us do that. But again, number-wise in obedience. And so number-wise in claiming the inheritance. You can see how many things determine the fact of number-wise. But also, Baba talking about right till the very end, the last day. Now, when a person has heart pain and they really can't manage to do anything, then there's a signal. Take it easy, just rest. For the last day, Baba wrote 50 letters. Of course, Baba's writing was very quick. The Sindhi script, shorthand script, and on a sheet with a thick red pencil very quickly. But Baba took that time, responding to everything and telling Ishudadi at the end, now my debt is cleared. All these signals, but of course, Ishudadi didn't pick it up then. She remembered later. This is what Baba said. Now my debt is cleared. And then instead of thinking, well, now this debt is settled, instead Baba went on a tour of wherever there was construction going on. And one of the buildings that was under construction at that time was the training center, and also Indraprasth in Pandav Bhavan. And so all of that, Baba went on tour, gave final instructions to the workmen who were there. And it was Chandras Dada who was responsible for construction work, giving him instructions also. The kitchen, Baba took a tour of the kitchen to make sure that everything was okay in the Bhandara. And then Baba rested for a short while. And then in the evening, again, the thought, children have missed the morning Murli. They'll be worried, they'll be concerned what's happened to Baba. And so Baba speaks the last Murli. Dinner is early for everyone. So then from 8 to 9, the last Murli. And again, you know the story after that. So until the very last breath, Baba doing service. Because God's instructions, take all my treasures and fill yourself with those and make others like yourself by sharing those treasures with each one so that they also can become full. So Shiv Baba reminding us of the story of Brahma Baba from the beginning to the end, just in a few words, and saying, well, check yourself. Am I filling myself with all treasures? And am I using all those treasures in a worthwhile way to be able to give those treasures to others? And the treasures that Baba spoke about, the treasures of knowledge, the treasures of yoga and the powers you get through yoga. And then the treasures of virtues, the treasure of breath, the treasure of time, the treasure of my own thoughts. All these treasures Baba used absolutely. And they were used in 3 particular ways. They were used for progress for the self. They were used for service. And they were used in all relations and connections. So if I use the treasures that I have, the resources that I have in a worthwhile way, of course, my treasure store continues to be overflowing, but also I'm receiving the blessings from others who have benefited. But instead, what happens is that instead of using treasures in a worthwhile way, our treasures become number-wise also, because I'm not using them. I'm a bit careless about it. We know about the 5 big vices, but the next one in line, when you think about the 10 vices of Ravan, sometimes we say that the 10 vices of Ravan are 5 of male and 5 of female, correct? Baba's explained the pure family path of Vishnu, the impure family path, denoted by Ravan. But also sometimes Baba says that there are the 5 big vices and then the 5 subtle vices. So each one, Ravan's kingdom inside me, and it's those 10 vices that are influencing me. And out of that, number 6 is very definitely carelessness. I wonder if we thought about carelessness as being so dangerous before. I mean, we didn't even think about lust as being dangerous. It's only in recent times where we see how lust has really started to rule people in a big, big way that we see the danger. But attachment, even after explaining, many people wouldn't see that as dangerous. Greed and anger and ego, yes, people have always considered these as danger. But the next danger after the big 5, it's really carelessness, because it can come so quietly. You start adjusting your timetable a little bit, the time you wake up, the time you go to sleep, the time you're giving for something. And carelessness means a little bit lost, a little bit lost, a little bit more lost, and it increases. Just as anger, first it's a bit of irritation, then it becomes anger, then it becomes volcano. Same thing, carelessness in little ways, but then carelessness in following the Maryadas, in following Baba's systems that keep us safe. And so ultimately very, very dangerous. And Baba seeing that carelessness has crept into many, many of his children. And again, Baba remembering the early days when there was no carelessness whatsoever. The code of conduct, the discipline was absolute. And not just in the days of Karachi, but also in the early days of service. Of course, there was very little available and very few hands. And so on many levels, you could see that it had to be absolute focus and attention in terms of resources also. And the carelessness, you have a very nice pillow and you have the Dunlop pillow, or you have the Dunlop mattress, and it's very, very comfortable. But we get caught up within our carelessness because it's comfortable. And so our comfort zone pulls us into a state in which we're no more attentive, no more exactly following Baba's disciplines. Try moving out of those boundaries. And of course, there's danger, the story of Sita, stepping out of the line, and you don't know where you're going to get trapped or how you're going to fall. And so stay within the code of conduct by attention and not just living a life of comfort. And that attention will always, always keep you safe. And so carelessness, a big subject to be aware of and to make sure that I don't start shifting the boundaries for my convenience or my comfort. And then further, Baba was talking about, of course, the loyalty, the faithfulness, and the reminder, it has to be just none but one. And in that, Baba also was talking about not just the attraction to somebody's virtues, the attraction to somebody's quality of service, all sorts of things that we get distracted by within human beings. But also I was talking about other things. What is it that I'm dependent on? Whatever it is I'm dependent on, if in the final moments I can't remember Baba, I'm pulled to whatever is my dependency, what happens then? And so very, very important to make sure that I'm totally faithful in that awareness that everything I need can come from one. I don't have to go here or there or depend on this thing or depend on that thing. No. But also, I was talking about how where the intellect actually gets slightly influenced. Lagav and jhukav. Lagav, the attachment, but also the jhukav, where I'm subservient. Do I follow Srimad? Or do I follow the dictates of someone else? And maybe I don't even realize it. But if I'm being influenced by somebody and they're telling me, this is okay, it's not a problem. You know, if you get up at 4:15, that's fine. That's still enough yoga. Or you can even have yoga till 5 o'clock then. You don't have to finish at 4:45. So influence, well, what does God say? Am I being influenced by God? And if I'm being influenced by God and follow Srimad, I'm under that canopy of protection. And here, I'm now subservient to a human being. And I start adjusting things according to what they say. Now I've moved out of being under God's canopy. And now I think, is this person who's going to provide me with my canopy of protection? Possible? Not possible. A human being cannot give me protection. The story of Raksha Bandhan. And so the subservience, where I'm influenced by a human being and start following their directions, again, I have to remember this is not faithfulness. This is not loyalty. My faithfulness, where I'm ready to give my heart to one, that's real faithfulness. And of course, earlier Baba had also talked about how sometimes we say, well, this is mine. And when there comes another moment when I want God, then I say, well, actually, God, I've given you this, and so it belongs to you. But my attachment will again make me say, but this is mine. And so am I ready to say, all that I have is truly for God, which means I then have to follow his instructions. How am I using my thoughts? How am I using my words and my life? And so, powerful Murli, very, very transparent Murli about what it means to be an effort maker, what it means I have to do today, now, and thankfully, it's not too late. It is late, but it's not too late. We still have the opportunity, even though Baba said, look at the time, and time is revealing itself in the way nature is functioning. In some cases, it's too hot. In some cases, there's drought. In some cases, there's fire. In other cases, there's floods. Nothing is working according to the system in nature. Everything is in extremes, and nothing is working according to time. So when you expect things to be warm, they're cold. There's a sudden snap. And the flowers that have just started to bloom, again, they curl up and die. So nothing is working according to the system because we've disrupted the system of nature. And so I was saying, look, just look, and you'll see how little time still remains. But at the moment, today I can make a commitment to Baba and follow it through. And Baba's help will be available. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Jayanti Ben. Very lovely synopsis. So maybe we just take off on that question of being faithful. And so Baba's saying not to listen to anyone else, not to get attached, as you said, not to become subservient. But Jayanti Ben, because of social media, YouTube, etc., there are so many teachers, so many BK teachers, and then there's a following, and then they get attached and they follow this person. And I'm talking about BKs. That was not so encouraged in the past, right? So, what I'm trying to say is that is, in a sense, us being unfaithful. Why is it not enough? Or why is the Murli not enough? Why is the Srimad not enough? And why is that still encouraged then? What is the role of these teachers, or what should be the role of these teachers that are sharing this knowledge?
What I'm seeing is that when Zoom started really taking off, online services began to be very dominant, was during COVID times. And of course, once something begins, then to try and put a brake on it is exceedingly difficult. And so we never used to have, there were already centers in 120 countries, but wherever you were content with that Murli and whoever the instrument was at that point. Suddenly with COVID, now you could tap into the Murli here and there and everywhere. And people started to have preferences. Oh, I like this Murli and I don't like this Murli, or I prefer this Murli. This is better than that one. So all of that began. And even after COVID now, to try and stem that tide is proving to be quite difficult. So this is why it started and why it's happening. But today, I have to ask myself the question, what am I more interested in? Am I more interested in Baba's Murli, or am I more interested in somebody's expression, somebody's stories, somebody's details, somebody's voice, somebody's tone? What is it that's attracting me here and there? And so if I'm going to listen to Murli from here, why? Why am I not content to go to my center and have a relationship with others who are local for me? And what's going on? I don't need all that. I just simply need Baba's Murli. And of course, the easiest is if I have a community, if there's a center near me, that really is the best, because if I need help on any level, whether it's to answer a question, whether it's to actually take physical help from a center. Now, it's not a center 5,000 miles away that's going to provide me that. It's going to be my local center. So it's my duty to build up a relationship with a center that I can have access to very quickly, very closely. So I would say that although we may have started to listen to a dozen Murlis from here and there, it's really not necessary. And more important is, I listen to Baba's Murli knowing it's Baba. I understand it deeply. I absorb it within myself. And then I practice it. And this is what today Baba was talking about in the Sakar Murli, the authority. The authority that comes is through my personal experience, not by the influence of anybody else.
Yeah, thank you so much. I did really love the Murli. It has so many deep points. I'd like to take up this aspect of the facilities. So Baba said the facilities are for service. They are not for making you into those who love rest and comfort. So Jayanti Ben, we've taken this up before, but I just wanted to maybe bring up another angle. Okay, even Oxford has very good facilities, and centers try to create a good ambience with the use of, good chairs, curtains, carpets, a good look, a good feeling. But my question really is, as we focus on those things, and maybe there's not enough yoga, not enough tapasya still, what should be in our thoughts, at least, so that we don't get caught up. Because I feel like if we ourselves focus on just trying to make the center look right instead of feel right, then that's what the student will focus on when they come. I mean, they'll look, first. So this is the aspect now. So what is the kind of minimum thinking or mindset that we should be having?
Times have changed. And when we were in Tennyson Road, very early days, just 2 little rooms and a tiny kitchen and very simple life. But Baba's world teachers were born there. There were so many souls who took Baba's Gyan and surrendered their life and became instruments for service all over the world. So I know that what Baba's saying is a reality. You don't need amazing settings or anything like that. And yet here we are in Oxford, and Baba's given us a beautiful setting. Really, it's incomparable. It really is. I know I've been to many centers across the world, including, of course, all the retreat centers too. And each one is very special. But Oxford has a very special place in many, many hearts. Baba gave us this as a gift. We didn't put in the chandeliers. We didn't do, the beautiful gardens. It all came as a gift. But having received that as a gift, then of course we wanted to make sure that it could be sustained in the right way with whatever input we could give. But of course, you're right. People appreciate the beauty on the external level, but it won't make them better Brahmins, or it won't inspire them to become Brahmins. What's going to inspire them is the vibration. And people often talk about the vibration when they come here also. So I would say to every single teacher, yes, if drama has provided you with facilities that are beautiful, wonderful. But your job is to create the right atmosphere. And to every student, I would also like to say that don't be worried about the appearance of a center. That's not the important factor. The important factor is the vibrations, your connection with God, and being able to take that power from God, as Baba has said today. So this is the important thing.
Yeah, thank you. A short question. Definition of a tight nature.
I think it should be like this. Example, I'm a perfectionist and I want everything to be in the right place, absolutely where it should be. And if somebody else comes along and they move something, and according to person A, it's not in the right place, and the person A blows up and says, "Why did you do this? Why did you move it?" That's one little example. So anything to which I'm attached that holds me in bondage, whether it's my ego, whether it's my anger, whether it's my attachment, whatever it may be, that is a tightness of nature that Baba's speaking about. So be light and easy. If it's not here, if it's there, okay, no problem, that's fine. I can't demand that things should be here and not here, etc., etc. But I have to have a nature which is light and easy, but I have to be tight, absolutely watertight in my disciplines. So Baba was putting it in that context.
Right, thank you. And on the first page, gentlemen, Baba's talking about him giving us cooperation. And then Baba said, however, even when they receive cooperation, because their yoga is not accurate, they are not able to experience any attainment. What is not accurate about it?
When I'm trying to have yoga, I'm still getting distracted by something. And so I sit for 30 minutes, but the actual yoga that I have, in which I'm connected absolutely with God, and whatever is in God, the power of love, of peace is flowing into me. That's a few seconds out of my 30 minutes. And so my accurate yoga is when I connect with God in soul consciousness, and God is giving me whatever I need so that I am truly fulfilled and can be content. So this is accurate yoga, to connect without any other distraction along the way.
Yeah, that's lovely. And something nice you said, gentlemen, is if somebody's not able to have proper yoga, then just have a nice, sweet conversation with Baba. That was very
That's
sweet.
right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, we'll move on. Yeah.
Just have a chat with Baba. Make Baba your friend and chat away.
Yeah, thank you. So we'll move on to some other question. This is a question from the Lokik, not Lokik, the Sakar Murlis in the week, where Baba said that visions will be seen from the mountains. So anything on that? When the war begins, they will cry out in distress. It will be you children who will see those scenes, and only those who are firm, serviceable children will be able to watch those scenes. Visions will be seen from the mountains. Is it Mount Abu or what?
I think it is Mount Abu that Baba's talking about, but also I think it means high state of consciousness. And so wherever it is you are, not necessarily on a physical mountain, but wherever you are, if you have a high stage of consciousness, you're at the peak, then at that point, you're able to have visions of what it is that lies ahead, so that the present scenes of sorrow and distress don't trouble you, because it's going to be very challenging scenes that appear in front of us. That's a fact.
And okay, not sure if you want to take this up. I'll leave it to you. Why is committing suicide the greatest sin? What about it is the greatest sin?
Life comes as a gift. And what I'm doing is throwing away this gift. If I had been, now I'm not talking about Brahmin life, I'm talking about Lokik life. If I had lived my life to the full, then I would have been able maybe to do a lot of good karma. But I've thrown away that opportunity, and instead I've allowed myself to be taken over by such dark, negative patterns of thinking and feelings that I can't help myself anymore. And so it's as if I've given up hope, I've given up effort, I've given up everything, and I say, okay, that's it, it's the end. And so just as it's a sin to kill someone, but I'm killing myself. And so I'm cutting myself off from that opportunity of doing something in my life.
So it's like this fortune that I got from God, and I'm killing that fortune, right?
Yeah.
The ability to create that fortune. Okay, thank you. Okay, why do we really get irritated seeing others' weaknesses? It may not be even that that we're interacting with them or that they're troubling us, but just seeing them and their weakness. Any insight into what's going on with the soul? Why are we getting irritated?
Because it's actually a reminder to me of what's going on inside myself. I react to the sanskars of another, the lack of goodness of another, because it's actually reminding me of what's going on inside. And I don't always acknowledge that, but that's what it is. It's a reflection of what's going on in me. And so I don't like what I'm seeing and I react.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. So I'll move to the chat, and sorry, I'll take the latest one because it's related to the previous question. So what about euthanasia? Is that okay?
If I'm a Brahmin, no, it's not okay. And if it's a Lokik situation, then I think there can be extenuating circumstances in which there's a situation where I have so much pain and there's no cure for it. And it's actually at that moment then my decision that I'd better fly away. This body isn't supporting me anymore. So I can see why it can be justified in Lokik life, but certainly in Brahmin life, even if there is physical pain, and this is something I heard Avyak Baba say to Dadi Janki. Dadi was going to visit somebody who had cancer in the bones. And can you imagine how challenging that was? Very, very painful. And this person had said to Dadi that, please say to Baba, Baba, I want to leave. And Baba said to Dadi, tell her, when you see her, every moment that she's still in this body, at least she knows me and can remember me. Once a soul has left this body, then that clarity of understanding who is God and having a relationship with God also finishes. And so Dadi took this message back to this individual, and the person understood and then stopped asking for death, but rather just got on with remembering Baba more and more. And soon afterwards, she did leave. Another way to look at it is interesting because it came up, I think, last week also, but I don't mind mentioning it again. Mama's comment when she had very severe pain in the last period of cancer, Mama would say, better I settle that karma now rather than in front of Dharamraj. And so she didn't say to Baba, Baba, please liberate me from this body, it's so painful. She took it in a different way. And so that gave her a bigger capacity for tolerance to be able to manage the pain.
Okay, thank you. I'll kind of rephrase this question. What do you think we should be doing at the end when the Mahabharat war starts? Should we all be moving back to India or Bharat?
Baba had told a group of teachers who were with Baba on the stage, this would have been in the 80s, and it was, Baba, we were there till the very end. Baba was still around and Baba was very relaxed, and the body was, the chariot was of course much younger and more cooperative. And so Baba said, okay, all the teachers come up, and it would have been about 30, 40 teachers from abroad who were there. We came up on the stage, all of us sitting around Baba, and somebody said to Baba, Baba, should we be thinking about how to catch the last flight out of our country to be able to come to Madhuban in the final moment? And Baba gave drishti, and then Baba said, you have memorials of angels in all your cities. And this is because all of you, wherever it is you are, you have been in God's remembrance, and you've been able to be God's messengers to give help and support to people at that time in their final moments. And so you are those angels whose memorials are still being remembered. And so from that moment on, when I heard this from Baba, I stopped thinking about, I have to get to Bharat.
Well, it's good because then we'll be here together.
Who knows, maybe you'll be in Bharat. Who knows? For the important thing, wherever I am, physically, Baba's telling me that's not the factor. It's your consciousness that's the factor. And so let your consciousness be with Baba, and no dependency on a human or on facilities or anything. And then you experience help from God, but you can be an instrument to help others too.
Again, this topic of unlimited disinterest has come up. How do we connect this topic to the self, yagya, divine family, and the world? Maybe just a few words on that.
My state of contentment depends totally on my experience of attainments from Baba. And when I experience those attainments and that inner contentment, there's disinterest in whatever is there outside. There's nothing I need from outside anymore. So that's really the basis for unlimited disinterest, to be able to experience everything coming to me from God. And of course, then I'm able to give something to those around me. I'm not wanting them to give me anything. I have everything I need from Baba. I'm able to be of use and give them something so that they also can come closer to Baba and be content. And really, if there's nothing I want from the people I'm serving, then they're going to be touched and they're going to come closer to Baba. If I go into service with a motive, I want their love, I want their respect, I want them to praise me, all of these things, maybe even limited physical things. I want them to help me in the center, donation, and all of this. Well, that's not real service, it's not altruistic service. But I am full and I want them to take something from God and they come closer to God. That is service.
Lovely. So another question. I'm mostly able to control my mind and intellect until there is some deep karmic account that emerges, which then brings out, in other words, the worst of me, the worst sanskars in me. What should I do for that?
Let me identify which sanskars get triggered. I can't identify the karma that's going to come my way. I don't know. I don't know whether I'm going to get sick. I don't know whether anything else may happen. But I can identify my sanskars because by now you've been seeing what sanskars keep getting triggered. And when I can understand my sanskars, then I start working on being able to take Baba's help to deal with those sanskars. And then even if there's some past karmic situation that brings a problem in front of me, I've dealt with the sanskar. I know how to respond to that situation and I'm not caught in any trap.
Okay, thank you. Gentlemen, there's this question about LGBT. This is when souls identify with being another gender, for those who are translating. So there is a brother who's coming to do the course in some center, and he feels like a woman from inside. And so he's asking the teacher, why does this happen? Has Baba mentioned? Well, Baba has mentioned sometimes, hasn't he? But anyway, I'll let you answer the question.
I'm looking at the soul and I'm seeing how the soul has both of these characteristics, the masculine tendencies and the feminine tendencies. Every soul has both these. But then usually according to the biology, the physiology of the body, then we allow the feminine sanskars to emerge or the masculine. And I think at the end of the cycle, with all this confusion about identity connected with the physical form, I would say to this individual, just practice being very soul conscious and accepting, acknowledging, I've got both within me. But now at this moment, let me be able to just be soul conscious and use this chariot that drama, biology has given me, nature has given me, and let me stay connected with God so that then I'm receiving all that I have a need for is coming to me from God. And so I would say that rather than get into the whole subject of physical identity, come back to your spiritual identity, and then you'll see how you can reconcile both of these aspects of your personality together.
Yeah. And I think just to say we should be very careful because this is on the rise and you're hearing many stories and many people being sued and taken to court for not appropriate or misappropriate language. So we need to be mindful of this. Right, gentlemen, I'm going to stop there, but I just want to ask you, how do you feel? Like I was noticing you, we had this teachers retreat here, UK teachers, And there were 74 UK teachers here, and they've gone today. But gentlemen, we had many question answer sessions, and I wonder how you feel when perhaps you're being asked a question that is a bit tough or a bit personal. What do you say to yourself inside when it could create an emotional jerk reaction? How do you manage yourself?
I find that even though, and I think you're talking about yesterday evening when there were very challenging questions being put, but I was appreciating that there was an atmosphere in which everybody was very calm, and the questions that were challenging, that were coming up, I felt comfortable that people feel comfortable to ask these questions in a safe place. And so whatever you observed, but certainly I didn't feel any reaction of any type, especially in two particular questions that were directed towards myself. I felt that it's good that they're sharing it at this moment. And afterwards also, I felt that my connection with those individuals was fine. It was quite normal. And so if I had had a reaction, then I think it would have also meant that facing them later on might not have been so comfortable, but that wasn't the case. And so they asked, I shared very openly and honestly what I thought. And I'm sure there were people on both sides, people who were supporting one side and not the other. But everything stayed very peaceful and it was fine. So I think that with Baba's help, I've come to that stage where I don't feel personally challenged when it's difficult questions.
Yeah, you were calm, definitely. I'm saying, what do you just say to yourself, or is it just your practice over a long period of time?
Yeah, I'm listening very intently to that person and picking up what they're really feeling. And I know that they're speaking from a genuine place of sincerity. It wasn't a sort of competition, or, sometimes you can feel that here's a person trying to prove themselves to be more clever, and so they're putting question in that. So it wasn't that sort of atmosphere at all. And so I didn't have to prepare myself in a way. And I'm wanting to answer them as honestly as I can from my own understanding and experience, so that then they can also be clear about it. So it wasn't any preparation at that moment for, now how do I deal with this? Just listen, and then to the best of my ability, be honest and open about what it is.
Yeah, you're great, gentlemen. Thank you so much.
I'm not so sure about that, but
No, you're great. And yeah, we're so lucky to have you. And it's been a pleasure. And we continue to have Sister Jayanti's company till tomorrow. So yeah, thank you, everyone. We will have a nice meditation to end with. Om Shanti.
Thank you to everyone, and especially Arunaben.
In ways we cannot see, He will make a way for me. He will be my guide, hold me closely to His side. With love and strength for each new day, He will make a way. He will make a way. There seems to be no way. He works in ways we cannot see. He will make a way for me. each new day, He will make a way. He will make a way. By a roadway in the wilderness, He'll lead me. Rivers in the desert will I see. Heaven and earth will fade, but His word will still remain, and He will do something new today. Oh, God will make a way where there seems to be no way. He works in ways we cannot see. He will make a way for me. He will be my
Shanti, just want to say that the next revision will be 17th of July. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Sister Jayanti.
Thank you. Om Shanti.